Starting it off in the $0 to $150 price range of the best 1080p gaming monitors in every price range is the LG 24GN600-B. Now, if you want to check out any of the 5 monitors in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links, but let's talk about the 24GN600. Firstly, it is a 24-inch screen size. It hits a max refresh rate of 144 Hz and has FreeSync Premium. After testing, there was no screen tearing present, and this works very well with G-Syncs. If you do have an NVIDIA card, this is compatible through, well, your graphics card, obviously. As for the panel type, this is an LG IPS panel, but let's talk gaming performance here. How is the ghosting or smearing, whatever you want to call it? Well, it's extremely low here. That being said, the fastest response time setting causes overshoot, so setting this in the fast setting is the way to go, which fast is actually the middle setting. Once in this setting, ghosting is extremely minimal and basically will not be an issue at all, even in fast-paced FPS games. But what about the image quality? Well, firstly, brightness is great here, hitting over 100 nits over the 350 nit rating, hitting around 450 nits in SDR. That is a very bright monitor, and for this price point, that is ridiculously good. It was fantastic when it came out in a much higher price point. Now it's in a lower price point, still really great brightness. Now this makes this monitor, even though it's very affordable, a genuinely bright monitor. Not even just for inexpensive monitors, just across the board, it is a bright monitor. Now, while this is capable of HDR, this only covers 99% of the sRGB color space. So most of the time I prefer this in SDR because obviously it does not have a wider color gamut to take advantage of when in HDR, but in SDR, this looks great. Now, while this only covers the sRGB color space, there is some upside. This monitor is factory calibrated from LG, so out of the box, the accuracy is quite good. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is very good, and usually LG has the best calibration in the industry for normal monitors, because most gaming monitors are not factory calibrated. Overall, if you want a bright, fast, 144 Hz, 24-inch gaming monitor, you really cannot go wrong with the LG 24GN600-B. But with that, let's move on to the $150 to $200 price point, and that is the Pixio PX248 Pro. Now this again is that 24-inch screen size. This has a max refresh rate of 164 Hz and has FreeSync Premium, and I believe FreeSync Premium Pro. Now, if you don't know what FreeSync Premium Pro is, it allows you to have variable refresh rate on while also having HDR on, which is a very, very nice thing to have, and something that's typically only found on significantly more expensive monitors, but this one does it, so that's impressive. One thing to note is that there is no variable refresh rate through HDMI, so for consoles, you're not gonna have any variable refresh rate. You will only get variable refresh rate through the DisplayPort connection. And also, as you would expect, this works very well with G-Sync or NVIDIA cards. Now, as for the panel type, this is an IPS panel, which I think all of them are on the list, but how is the ghosting? Well, it's very, very good here. While it is a little quirky, as the only overdrive setting that doesn't cause overshoot is the off setting, which is the lowest overdrive setting. However, in this setting, it is still very, very minimal ghosting, even with faster whips. Very impressive for fast-paced gameplay styles. We see this very commonly now with these IPS panels just being tuned basically perfectly. It's something that, well, it's a really good thing for the whole industry. But if you're in any other response time setting other than off, you are going to have quite a bit of overshoot. So just leave it in off. That is the best setting and the fastest ghosting tune for, well, the best overall quality, because no one likes overshoot and no one likes normal ghosting. Set it in off and keep it there. Now, brightness here takes a hit, coming in at around 280 nits, which is definitely slightly under the average, but in a dim or dark room, this still looks great. And that point is pushed further with the color gamut being ridiculously large for this price point. And that is one thing, well, if the majority of the time you game in a fairly dim or dark room at night, might be a huge area where you're like, this is worth it. This covers 98.9% of the DCI-P3 color gamut. And if you have no idea what that means, that is extremely impressive. That means in HDR, when you're gaming in HDR, which again, remember, you can have variable refresh rate on with HDR on, you are going to get super deep, vibrant, beautiful colors. I mean, this is really quite impressive. So overall, even with the lower brightness, this is my favorite and most recommended 24-inch, 144 or 165 Hz gaming monitors due to the great ghosting, FreeSync Premium Pro, and a super wide color gamut. But with that, let's move on to the $200 to $250 price range, and that is the Gigabyte G27F2. Now this bumps it up in screen size, still maintain that 1080p resolution, but this hits 27 inches. Now some people say 27 inches is too large for a 1080p resolution. It all depends on your gameplay style, what you prefer. There is no right answer, but yes, you will have a lower PPI because it's the same resolution in a larger screen size. That's totally up to you. However, the one thing I will say is that 1080p 27-inch monitors typically have some of the best dollar to value in the entire industry because of that PPI. And that's just one of the things. If you want the best value dollar per dollar, a 27-inch 1080p monitor probably is that monitor. Okay, so this hits 165 hertz with a 170 hertz factory overclock. That 5 hertz is sweet. It really doesn't make any difference, but it's a marketing thing. As for variable refresh rate, this has FreeSync Premium, which does work well with G-Sync if you have an NVIDIA GPU. This is an IPS panel, and ghosting here is extraordinarily good, being almost the lowest ghosting you'll ever see on an IPS panel. Very, very good. Basically crystal clear. Now the two fastest response time settings do cause pretty bad overshoot, so make sure to keep this in the picture quality overdrive mode and you'll be golden. The other ones, again, do cause significant pixel overshoot or inverse ghosting. So leave them out of that, keep it in the picture quality mode, and that's the one that you should just be good with. Now, brightness is rated for 400 nits. However, after testing, this reaches closer to 340 nits in SDR. That's not boosting contrast and stuff. You might be able to get it up to that 400 nits, but not in an environment where you'd actually want to use it. So yeah, around 340 nits of brightness, which is still good. Definitely not a bad brightness, being above average for sure. The image looks nice and vibrant and beautiful, and especially in HDR, as this does have a wider color gamut to take advantage of, hitting 95% of that DCI-P3 color gamut. Very impressive here. A great overall package. Again, if you don't mind, slightly lower PPI. So overall, if you want a 27-inch screen size, 165 to 170 hertz, almost perfect ghosting, good brightness with a great color gamut, this is the pickup of a lifetime for the price. But with that, let's move on to the $250 to $350 price range, which is the ASUS TUF Gaming VG279QM. Now this again comes in that 27-inch screen size, but hear me out because there is a ton of great stuff here for a very good price point. This is one of my favorite all-time monitors for the price. Now this hits a refresh rate of 280 hertz with a factory overclock. So for fast-paced gamers, this is what you're going to want. Pair that with an NVIDIA certified G-Sync compatibility, and this is seamless with the variable refresh rate as far as the experience goes. It's great here. This again is an IPS panel. Ghosting here is exactly what you'd expect, being exceedingly low. Even with much faster whips, this is very, very good with minimal smearing. Now there are increments of 20 from 0 to 100 to adjust the overdrive or response time settings. The 80 and 100 values do cause pixel overshoot or inverse ghosting, so you are gonna wanna leave it in 60. That's what I found is the best, and I think that's what it comes out of the box with, so 60 is the best. Now, as for the beauty of the panel, let's talk about it. Brightness here is absolutely ridiculously good, hitting way over its rating at 585 nits of brightness in SDR. That is incredibly bright, making more beautiful games insanely vibrant and pretty, even in very bright rooms. Now, HDR performance, even with a truly fantastic brightness, is just okay. The color gamut covers the full sRGB color gamut, which is great for SDR, but in HDR it really lacks on the colors, so most of the time I left this in SDR and absolutely loved it. However, there is one thing to be said. While you are getting 280 hertz and a very competitive focused gaming monitor, you're not losing on the beauty in SDR. This is a very pretty panel, really due to, well, it covers a full sRGB color gamut and it has that massive brightness. So the vibrancy of the panel is really, really, really good. I mean, it's really quite impressive. So overall, if you want a 240 or 280 hertz gaming monitor that doesn't break the bank, has fantastic ghosting, brightness, and an SDR color gamut, this is a fantastic pickup. But with that, let's move on to the $350 to $450 price range, and that is the Alienware AW2523HF. Now this is a 24.5-inch screen size, but with that, you're getting a 360 hertz refresh rate. So if you are a very focused competitive gamer, this is the monitor that you want to look at. This also has FreeSync Premium and works well with G-Sync as expected. Also, one note with G-Sync is that it only seems to work over DisplayPort, not HDMI. So yeah, and again, like FreeSync fine, but G-Sync specifically only is going to work. The supported G-Sync is only really going to work over DisplayPort. It shouldn't be an issue for any of you, but just letting you know. As for the panel type, this is again an IPS panel, and ghosting here is exactly what you would expect, being extremely low. A micron of overshoot is present in the super fast setting, with a lot of overshoot in the extreme setting. So I left this in fast 95% of the time, and that's also what I recommend you doing. Keep it in that fast setting, which is, funny enough, the slowest setting, and you'll be golden. You won't have any pixel overshoot, and it'll be the lowest ghosting you can get, which again is very, very low. Fast-paced games, great. Now, brightness in SDR is actually quite good, rated for 400 nits, but after testing, this outdid this, hitting around 450 nits, which is great. That is a very nice and bright, vibrant panel. However, color gamut coverage is only the full sRGB color space, so HDR performance is just kind of meh and not as enjoyable as the SDR experience. This does make sense though, as HDR will increase input lag, and while being a 360 hertz monitor, you're not going to want to increase your input lag at all. So it's definitely designed to use this in SDR, and that's where it shines. So overall, if you want a super fast 360 hertz 1080p gaming monitor without breaking the bank, this is the one to buy. Again, if you want to check out any of the 5 gaming monitors in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. Of all of the ones on the list, the 2 that I find incredibly special is the ASUS and the Pixio. Those are 2 very special monitors, but the Gigabyte, the Alienware, if you want pure speed, and you really cannot go wrong with the LG GN600. There is no wrong answer here. All of these are some of my favorite 1080p monitors. Well, these actually are my favorite 1080p gaming monitors in the entire industry. But yeah, this is a consumer tech review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.